guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about how to talk about your transferable skills as a new medical coder. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so I did get a comment from a lady who was asking about this very thing, but I want to say this first before I get into the comment. This field welcomes people of all backgrounds. Okay, so if you have never had any background in medical up until this point of going to school and things like that, if you have not had any medical background, it's okay. You are just as welcome as people who do have medical backgrounds. When I first started in the industry, I had no medical background. I had no desire to be in the medical field at all in anything. Okay. So that's where I came from. So it is entirely possible, even if you don't have any experience. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you've been a stay-at-home parent for several years. Everyone is welcome. It is literally all about how you are presenting yourself in the industry, what your resume looks like, how proactive you are, how persistent you are. That plays a huge part of it. Okay, but let's get into the comment. So here we go. The viewer says, would 5 years of doing patient care as an MA, medical assistant, be considered reasonable experience for a medical coder job opening, considering I'm an entry-level medical coder? Okay, so the thing that I also want to say is this. When you're describing yourself, oh, I'm a brand new coder, I'm an entry-level coder, let's get rid of those qualifiers, okay? Entry-level, beginner, we already know. We already know. Trust me, when they're looking at your resume, they know that you are brand new. It's all about, I'm a medical coder, and this is what I know. So for this person, obviously being a medical assistant, she has medical background already. That is going to be very helpful. Now, how is it going to be helpful? Only if she describes it in a way that is going to be relevant to medical coding. So, what is relevant when you are a medical assistant and you're trying to get over into medical coding? Obviously, you understand HIPAA. You can keep patient information confidential and private. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you are literally on the front lines. You're identifying the patient, you're verifying, you're double checking that this is a patient, this is what you're going to be doing, and anything that you have to help that patient with, you're going to make sure that that's the right patient, that's the correct patient. You can identify that patient. That's also something that needs to be considered. Did you see any codes, or were you exposed to any codes? Now, being a medical assistant, she may not be selecting those codes, or because sometimes they'll do, the providers will select the codes from a super bill, and then like the medical assistant or the nurse or somebody will enter those charges in. So if the medical assistant did that, that's also something that they can put on their resume, that they did charge entry of what? Of the ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS, or ICD-10 PCS codes, whatever they were doing. That's something that needs to be put on there. And as long as you're putting these things on there legitimately correctly, as far as like not putting ICD-10, I can't stand it when I see a resume that has ICD-10 and nothing else. It is lazy, and it just gets under my skin, because there's ICD-10-CM, which is your diagnosis codes, and ICD-10 PCS. So there's two different ones. So you need to tell me which one it is, because I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to guess what you're trying to tell me. As long as you're very clear about what it is that you are experienced with, then everything is fine, you know? So that's something that would help that person to be able to make their resume stand out if they were doing those things. Additionally, as a medical assistant, you know medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology. Those are those core things, core courses that you have to have when you are in a medical assistant school. Now, I don't want to know that you helped to set up lines. I don't want to know that you did all these other things like the nursing side stuff. I don't need to know that. I need to know what is relevant and what can transfer over to the coding. And like I said, if you were selecting those codes through the super bill and you were entering the charges in, that's what you need to put on there. If you were verifying the patient information so that when the doctor comes in, they already know that this is a correct patient, that's something that you need to do. Keeping that information confidential, that's another thing that you have to put on there. So if you're coming in from that medical side, think about all the things that would be transferable over. Keeping information private, any code selections, any of that exposure, you need to be able to put that on your resume. And additionally, if you're not coming from a medical background, let's just say that you were a volunteer at the church, right? You were a volunteer at the church and you collected the money, right? When they were passing around the plate for the offerings. Okay, cool. So you were taking all that money in and you were helping to count that cash. That's cash handling, and that can help you when you're out there and you're applying for jobs. Why? Because if you decide, well, it's really hard to get a job as a coder and I can't keep applying without getting a job, so let me just try one of these alternative jobs that Bleu recommends so freely, that would help me because it has it can help me to get more transferable skill. Not that every time I post a video about that, I always get complaints from ungrateful people. Well, why would I want to do these alternative jobs when I want to be a coder? Again, I tell you guys that I post these alternative jobs to help you get exposure to coding. Because not everybody is ready to be a coder right off the bat. So again, if you're starting off in that billing and you got that cash handling experience, then that's good for them because that's a skill that is needed in billing. But guess what about billing? Billing is a great place to start. Why? Because the coding is already done for you. You're looking at the documentation, you're looking at the codes, and then you're submitting it to insurance. And that helps you to get that well-rounded knowledge. Again, some people are so close-minded that they only say, oh, I only want to do coding. Well, I understand that because I've always only been a coder. But if you're trying to learn and you're trying to get your foot in, you never know who you're going to be connected with if you get a job as a biller. That may help you. But I'm just putting it out there, guys. I give you all this information because I want y'all to be successful and I want y'all to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So take it or leave it. If you want to leave it, that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to help you. Okay? I'm just saying. So with that said, I will say this also. When you are getting these transferable skill jobs, like being a biller or being a prior authorization specialist and those kind of things, all of that information is going to help you to build up your resume. So that way you can have all of those additional skills that the employers are looking for. Okay. So again, it's just there to help you. Now, cash handling is one thing. And again, if you were working in retail, that's also cash handling. Retail also involves inventory. So if you were doing inventory, you had to make sure that you matched up products and other things to your inventory sheet just to be able to do the checklist and things like that. So if you had to do that, you had to match serial numbers and those kinds of things. That's something else that you can put onto your resume because that goes to show, okay, this person knows their numbers and letters, because you do have to be able to distinguish numbers and letters. And even though that may seem like really simple, if you look in the job listings, it'll say that. Okay, so this is something that you guys got to know. Also, the ability to be able to speak and write and comprehend English. That is a very important skill that a lot of people don't even think about. But it's in almost every single job listing. Must be able to read, write, and speak English. So, again, a transferable skill that anybody can have because you have to be able to do that. And if you tell me, well, Bleu, I don't like to write, it's not a choice. This is not a negotiation, okay? It's not a negotiation. You are going to be, as a coder, right? You're going to be working with extremely intelligent, well-educated people. That's what you're getting into. So this is not I want to be able to do whatever it is that I want to do, and I don't really like to write, I don't really like to do all these things. It doesn't matter what you like, my people. It does not matter what you like. This is part of it. If you want to be successful and you want to be somebody who's going to have lots of opportunities, these are the things that you're going to be paying attention to. Reading, writing, speaking English is very important. And if you say, well, I have a really strong accent, you can work on that accent, because there's tons of videos on YouTube that talk about enunciation of words and things like that. Same thing if you say, well, I'm really shy. Building up your confidence, watching those videos about word enunciation is fantastic, okay? So something that is another skill out there that you can bring to the table. Because sometimes employers will take a chance on people who have no experience if they come in with a strong game of your transferable skills. A person who is well spoken, well written, and able and willing to show and demonstrate their knowledge, as far as like, okay, I can articulate my knowledge, I can articulate how to look up code, how to look up a procedure code, and what are the steps involved and things like that. If you can do that, then again, you're far ahead of your peers who are sitting back here feeling sorry for themselves because the job's not being handed to them hand and foot. I'm just saying. So with that said, that's something else that you can put onto your resume. That's something else that you can highlight. But I will say this also. Avoid things like organized, team player, smiling face on your skills list. If I see any of these, your resume is immediately getting rejected. Why? Because everybody's a team player when they're out there looking for a job. I'm not asking for that, because you're already going to be that, right? What I need to know, and what I need as a employer, if I'm a hiring manager, what I need to see from a brand new medical coder is, what did you get taught in the school? ICD-10-CM, CPT, Hicks, PICS, medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology. Those things need to be there, okay? Because those are relevant to what we're doing. And by the way, when you're doing something like Practicode, let's talk about Practicode. Now, Practicode is an educational product that some of the programs the AAPC offers, the Practicode is included with that package. Some people do it, some people don't do it. I think it's great. I'm not with AAPC, and this is not an ad for them, but I think the Practicode is a good practice. It's all it is just practice, but it is education. It is not work experience, even though it says that it's equivalent to what you would do in the first year of work, or in 1 year's worth of work time, right? That's equivalent, what you're doing with all of those records, coding all those records. That's what a year looks like, right? However, you cannot put that on your resume as experience, because if I saw that, somebody saying, well, I did Practicode, this is my year of experience, I would immediately reject that resume as well. Why? Because you're trying to lie to me, and you're acting like I don't know what Practicode is. You know, not every employer will know what Practicode is, because trust me, trust and believe, there are some people who don't even know what we do as coders, and they don't know what Practicode is. But that's on them. You know, if you are in that position, you have no business not knowing what Practicode is. But if you're sitting here trying to lie to me and show on your resume that that's work experience, again, you just lied to me. You're showing me that you have no integrity. So I don't want you in my organization. So don't do that. If you're going to put Practicode onto your resume, that's fine. But you make sure that it's education, that it's not that you're trying to pass it off as work experience. You know, I'm a professional resume writer. I write resumes. And whenever I have a client who comes to me who has Practicode, I always list it as education, not as this is work experience, because it's not, okay? It is an educational product. And again, there's a lot of there's a lot of talk out there about people who like it, people who don't like it. To me, anything that gets you extra practice is always a good thing. Now, whether or not I agree with some of those codes, that's a different story. But I still think that it's a fantastic educational tool, because again, it's not multiple choice, but it's just education. The other thing that I want to say is this: if you are in school and you say, okay, well, you know, I've been coding right? Coding through these scenarios. So that's experience. So I should just put that on to my resume as experience. No, that's education. And again, if you do that, that shows no integrity, and I would not hire you. I would not. And there's people out there that do say those types of things, oh, that they have experience, but it's just been in the book. That's not right. Okay. So let's be truthful and honest about what we have. Now, it's okay to put on there what school you went to and what you learned in the school, right? Some of the programs that you learned while you're in the school. That's okay. You can put that on there. But again, it needs to show as your education, not as that you're trying to pass it off as a work experience. Because there's nothing worse than somebody that is not truthful on their resume. You have to be very clear and concise on your resume. Your resume should just be one page, and it should be right to the point. I mean, everything needs to be right to the point. There should be no reason that you have paragraphs in your work history. It should be all in bullet points, okay? It should not be a big old run-on sentence or like a paragraph, because I'm not going to read it. I wouldn't read it. And especially if you are like working the same type of jobs and then you say the same type of things throughout your resume, again, then you show no originality. You're just copy pasting your jobs. Maybe you had 3 or 4 jobs that were the same or relatively the same, and you're just saying the same thing that you did for each. No, you need to say different things for the different jobs that you had, because not every job is going to be the same, right? And not every position that you hold, you're going to have the same duties. So again, you need to think about what's transferable. Did you have to protect anyone's information? Did you have to secure any records or anything like that? Did you have to match up anything like inventory with numbers and things like that? Those detail things. So that's something that you need to make sure that you watch out for and that you put onto your resume, because that's a good transferable skill, that you were able to follow guidelines and regulations and things like that. So those are some things that you can add to your resume that will help you, that will add some substance to your resume, so that way when you are applying, they're not thinking that you're coming in with absolutely no transferable skill. A lot of people don't consider their transferable skills as something that is important enough to share with the employer. They're just so preoccupied with the fact that they don't have any experience and they just need a job. Okay, well then tell me why you would be a good candidate for this job. What is it about your past experience that you're bringing on that would make you a good candidate for this job? For me, it's just that I've always been detail oriented. Even when I was delivering phone books, you have to make sure that you matched up the address to the materials that you were given in the books and everything. So I had to go to the right house, and you had to leave the right amount of books, otherwise you would run out of books, and then you have to go back and pick up more, and it just took more time. So that was some of the things that I transferred over, obviously. And then obviously I had a whole list of people's addresses and phone numbers, so I had to protect this information. Again, talking about what is transferable, I had to protect that private information. And then incorporating what I did working at the halfway house. Okay, well, I understood that certain patients, certain residents had certain conditions, so I had to pay attention to what they ate and their dietary requirements and things like that. Or if they needed extra help, I knew how to help them because of their condition. So that's something else that I had there. When I worked at the concession stand, I had to handle cash, and I had to do all of those things. I had to balance my drawer at the end of the night. So again, I had mathematical skills that could also help me, because again, I didn't know where I was going as far as like my first job. So these were all the things that I was telling them that I had, and these were the skills that I was bringing to them. And I got complimented on my resumes several times when I was out there applying, and they were saying, "You have a really good resume." I said, "Thank you." But that's something that you guys have to understand, that they don't know you, and the only way that they're going to know you is by what you tell them. And if you say, well, I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that, you're just focusing on the negative stuff. You're just focusing on the things that you're not good at and the fact that you're brand new and the fact that you don't know what you're doing and that kind of thing. Instead of, what did you study? What did you learn? What else what else are you bringing in that is important? It's just like my stay-at-home parents. They say, well, I didn't do anything. I just stayed at home. Okay, so do you know about your family's medical histories? Yes. Do you know about their allergies and things like that? Well, yes. Did you have to keep their information private? Of course. Come on, guys. This is the thing. This is what I've been telling y'all. You're not looking at all of the other positive things that you are bringing in. Okay? So quit harping on the fact that you don't know this, you don't know that. Start looking at the things that you are bringing to the table. You obviously got into this industry, into this job for a reason. You went to the school for a reason. And if you went in with the right motivation and not that you're going to get in, get out, and you're going to make all this money when you get out with very little effort, that's the wrong motivation. And obviously you're going to see what happens with that, right? You're not going to last very long. Why? Because you're just looking at it for the wrong reason. And if you're not competent, people will not hire you. And you're going to find that out real fast. But you can still make yourself competent by going through these books, by practicing, by doing all of those things. Everything on my channel is always going to be about the work that you need to put in as a coder, as a future coder. It's all about the work that you've got to put in. Because I would never sit here and sell the field. I love the field. I respect the field of health information too much to do that. That's why I will not encourage people who want to do all of these crazy wild things. Oh, well, I want to be able to live abroad and do all. No. There's restrictions to these things. And again, people are looking at it like, what is it in for me? No, you need to look at it again. What are you bringing to the industry before you start making all of these demands? Okay, you can't be making demands if you don't have experience either. Now, people who do have experience and who do build up their skill and their knowledge, those are the ones that have more opportunities. And that's what you want to get to. And those people are my people. That's who this channel is for. People who dedicate themselves to learning, to getting out there, to putting away all that negative thought. And negative thought is a part of life, yes, but let's not let it crowd our energy and keep us from achieving what we need to achieve. Okay, again, I'm very blunt, and my message is not always going to be well received by some people because of their oversensitivity. But I will tell you that, guys, that this industry is tough. And it's not just about when you get in. Okay, that was the easy part. It's still tough to get in. But when you get in, okay, now you have to contend with providers who can be extremely intimidating. Then you have to deal with your coworkers who have varying degrees of education and competence. So that's also another thing that you have to think about and you have to contend with. And that can get tough too. Because trust me, it's a lot. There's a lot of ego and a lot of emotion that gets involved. But if you can't get a handle on your processing your emotions and, getting a thicker skin, toughening up, if you can't get a handle on that now, it's going to be a very difficult road for you. I'm just telling you that right now. And so whether you like it or not, whether you like my videos or not, it doesn't matter to me. Because this message is going to reach the person that it needs to reach. And it's going to help those people that want to be helped. If you just want everybody to say, oh no, well, I can't get it, well, neither can I. Again, not this channel. Not this channel at all. And also, I had to do that because I got so many good feedbacks about my clapping. Everybody loves my clapping. So anyway, but with that said, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. But I want you to know that you will get the job. You just have to keep applying, and you have to look at other alternatives. If you're not getting into coding just yet, look at other alternatives. There's nothing wrong with that. absolutely nothing wrong with other alternative jobs, because it's going to be beneficial to you. It's going to help you to learn, because trust me, once you get done with these books, the real world learning, it's going to be completely different. And that's only going to barely get you prepared. But when you get out there and you start learning, you'll see what I mean. But with that said, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.